So, good morning, everyone. We are the group 12, and we are going to um, tackle about Gagnis theory. So, next slide. Robert Gagny was an educational psychologist who pioneered the science of instruction in the 1940s. His book, The Conditions of Learning, first published in 1965, and identify the mental conditions that are necessary for effective learning. So, what will be the benefits if we use Gagne's model? So, as future educators, we can utilize Gagne's 9 levels of learning model as a checklist before engaging in teaching or training activities. Each level emphasizes a type of communication that is beneficial to the learning process. Learners are significantly more likely to be engaged and retain information or skills when each stage is performed in order. So, in Gagni's theory, we will really remember how to plan our session so that our students will really have the best possible learning experience if we utilize this strategy before any form of training session or presentation. So, a little bit overview about Gagni's 9 levels of learning sa level 1, which is gaining attention or reception. So how will you going to gain the attention of your students? Of course, you must first raise your volume, gesticulate, display a short film on the topic of instruction, or use any other event that ends the waiting for the lesson to start phase. So in level 2 naman, informing learners of the objective or expectancy, you must ensure that your students know what they need to learn and that they understand why they're about to learn this new information. So, we must explain to our students what they will have learned by the end of the session. Then, we must explain how their learning is going to benefit them and the whole class. In the level 3, stimulating recall or prior learning or retrieval, we must review any previous learning that we have done with our students and apply it to what they're learning now. Also, we must ask our students if they have any previous experiences with the topic or if they have experienced the problems. Then we must make connections between what they are learning and their previous learning. And level 4, presenting the stimulus or selective perceptions, we must organize our information in a logical and easy to understand manner. And we must use some variety of different media styles like visual cues, verbal instruction, some active learning, and just to suit students with different learning styles. And level 5, providing learning guidance or semantic encoding, we must help our learners to learn more effectively by including examples like mga graphics, storytelling, or analogies. So level 6 and level 9 will be explained by Charles.
Hello, I'm Charles Fernan and I will be reporting the level 6 up to level 9. Eliciting performance response. At this stage, we need to ensure that the student can determine the information of what had been taught. This is a critical stage since it allows us educators to assess their progress while also allowing students to practice and reinforce their knowledge. Also, through repetition, we can also help them memorize information and build their self-confidence. So how can we apply this? For example, by doing tests, quizzes, classroom presentations, essays, group projects, and application orientation lab exercises. Level 7. Providing feedback. Generally speaking, feedback should be personalized, constructive, positive, and immediate. There are a few unique types of feedback with specific purposes. Remedial feedback, descriptive or analytic feedback, and etc. Remedial feedback is a type of feedback designed to adjust a student's line of thinking or course of action so they can come to find an answer on their own, without telling them that answer directly. This can be done by indirectly leading them to realize the correct answer. And descriptive or analytic feedback is explicitly designed to boost students' performance by offering additional assistance, including tips or exact action steps to take. Level 8. Assessing performance or retrieval. This can only be done after the student demonstrates their learn level of understanding and has been given feedback. The teacher can do a comprehensive assessment to gauge the extent they met objectives. So how can we applicate this in the learning process? Assessments can be done by giving tests, short questionnaires, or even essays to measure learning efficacy. No matter which method are used, they should be objective, logical, and based on pre-established criteria and outlined in rubric when practical. It may also be useful to provide further feedback after you have assessed their performance. Level 7. Enhancing retention and transfer or generalization. In this stage, once we the teachers have assessed the above steps' effectiveness, it is time to build upon them to increase retention and transfer. Retention implies the student's ability to internalize and remember what they learned, whereas transfer describes the capacity to apply the knowledge and skills in the real world. Both are readily enhanced through an abundance of practice, though to the greatest extent possible, such practice should be creative and not merely rote repetition, which tend to bore learners. A potential problem we can run into with this tip is time itself, for it is often difficult to squeeze in meaningful practice at the end of lessons. Application of this level is that teachers should do everything possible to help students retain the information they have worked so hard to learn and give them chances to personalize their learned experience to apply it on their own life. First, ask students to write an essay describing how the lesson impacted them and what they might do with the new information. And second, assemble students into discussion group and provide prompts for them to talk about. The next slide will be reported by Jira.
So before anything else, in conclusion, with Gagne's theory, it really offers future educators or teachers with a wealth of knowledge. And Gagne's nine-step approach provides structure to lesson planning and a holistic view of teaching and making it good tool to assure an effective and systematic learning program. So it is really important to remember that the exact nature of these events can't be predetermined for all lessons. Rather, it has to be determined for each learning purpose. The most common test we asked for our students is to complete is to remember, but our goal is to help them understand, and we will be able to accomplish this goal by putting more structure into the object to the objectives of the lesson plans. As what Gagny says, that organization is the characteristic of excellent teaching materials. So before we move on to our related researches, um, we will be having a short motivational activity to be facilitated by Jaira.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Now, I will be going to have an activity called 4 Picks, 1 Instruction. As we discussed earlier, the 9 events of instruction, now you will going to guess what instruction are indicated in the 4 pictures on the screen. Now, since that we are just three here, now I want you, Ferlin, to guess what is in the picture. Okay, as we discussed earlier. Now, can you guess what is in the or what instruction are
Assess
indicated?
performance.
Assess
Assess
performance.
performance.
That's good. Yes, that's very good. Thank you so much, Ferlin. Now, can you uh, go to the next slide and guess, Charles, what is indicated in the next picture?
Guidance?
What?
Guidance or guiding?
Okay, it's provide guidance. Okay, so can you guess, Ferlin, what is in the picture on the next slide?
Gain attention.
Very good. That's gaining attention. So thank you so much, group mates, for participating in our activity. And now we are going to discuss a further um, lesson about our related research.
So our research title is Using Gagne's 9 events of instruction to enhance student performance and course evaluations in undergraduate nursing course. So the research problem is next slide please. Schools of nursing have increased enrollment to address the global nursing shortage, which has resulted in higher numbers of students in classrooms. So, the research problem, the study presented in this article was inspired by course teachers in an undergraduate medical surgical nursing course who saw that students were missing class, talking excessively among themselves, and lack attention by midterm compared to the first weeks of the semester. So, faculty concerns led to the search for teaching mentorship, and the investigation of alternate ways that could improve student involved in overall course achievement. So, using Gagne's instructional design theory as a possible answer. Kasi an experienced colleague had some awareness of Gagne's theory and suggested incorporating it into teaching approaches. So, the goal of this paper is to show how Gagne's events of instruction affect final course grades and students' evaluation of instruction ratings. For the research methods would be tackled by Charles Villanueva.
The research methods are done by evaluating students via survey. The students were first divided in group into three. The first group were surveyed and received the usual instruction, and the other two groups received a different type of approach using Gagne's 9 level of instruction. The SEI, or the Student Evaluation of Instruction data, shows that the first group of students who received the usual teaching approach numbered 31 students, and the other two numbered 33 and 37 respectively. The overall course grade data were collected from each class roster for three sequential semesters, numbered 80, 81, and 84 respectively. The findings will be reported by Jaira.
Okay. So thank you so much, Charles. So we are going to tackle the findings of the study. Now, the integration of Gagne's 9 events of instruction resulted in a positive change in student evaluations, so indicating enhancements of the student learning experience. Now, the SEI items that were chosen indicated that faculty may be better able to demonstrate expertise by using the pedagogical method. Now, the findings of this study are consistent with what has been reported about use of Gagne's events of instruction in clinical teaching. So other disciplines such as psychology have used Gagne's events routinely to enhance instruction. So the 9 events of instruction provided a structure to the face-to-face classroom setting as what we have experienced now, affording faculty the opportunity to gain expertise with a pedagogical method while staying student-centered. Now, the events provide a framework to build on each week, creating an improved classroom for both student and faculty. And through the use of this method, students had enhanced opportunities to interact with each other and the teacher for their feedbacks, and which facilitated a positive experience among students. Now, can you please go to the next slide? So the implication of this study in studying the psychological events of that occur with the stimulus and learning, Gagnes determined certain conditions that are integral to human learning. And Gagnes' principle refer to action of both and the teacher of learners during the teaching. So Gagnes suggested 9 events of instruction that may be enhance student learning, gain attention, inform learners of the objective, stimulate recall of prior knowledge, present stimulus, provide learner guidance, elicit performance, provide feedback, assess performance, and enhance retention and transfer. And these 9 events were used to guide the structure of medical surgical nursing course. And not only in this course, but also it could apply in the other course as well. And the author hypothesized that use of these 9 events would facilitate student engagement and thereby enhance student learning and thus improving overall understanding of course concept. So that is the implication of our related research.
So, thank you everyone, no? Thank you, Jaira, Charles. So that would be all for our report.